Hello friends! We are going to weave an acorn. In this video, you'll learn how to weave the bottom part of the acorn with detailed explanations. This information will be useful for both beginners and advanced weavers. My name is Alina and you are watching the Weevyn channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's get started. You'll need cutters, knitting needle, polymer glue, clothespins, sewing pin, approximately 55 moistened paper vine rods. I used two colors, dark brown, 23 pieces, and light brown, 32 pieces. You can use one color if you prefer. It's entirely up to you. Please don't forget to watch the video on our channel about how to moisten the rods and how to store them during your weaving project. The quality of your finished piece depends on this preparation. We'll also need a form for weaving the bottom part of the acorn and masking tape. I am using a wooden egg with the following dimensions: length 3.5 inches, circumference 7 inches. If your form is different size, you'll need a different number of rods accordingly. The masking tape is needed to secure the form to the weaving when we work on the bottom part of the acorn. Watch how I use it. I cut a piece of tape and fold it so it's sticky on all sides. I attach it to the pointed end of my wooden form. For a strong hold, I apply it from both sides. Let's check that the sticky part of the tape is secure. The adhesive part of the tape will stick to the bottom of the lower section. You'll see this during the weaving process. Let's begin weaving. Take 4 rods. This will be your stakes. Lay them in a cross formation on top of each other. Press them down with your fingers so they hold this position. Take 2 more rods. This will be your weavers. On one rod, cut the twisted end at a sharp angle. On the other rod, shape the butt end evenly. Then drop glue into the shaped butt end and insert the pointed end of the other rod, twisting it as far as possible. Be careful not to tear the edge of the rod you are inserting into. Bend the resulting long rod slightly, stepping back from the splice point, and fold them in half. This looks like a clamp. To start weaving, place this clamp over any section of the 4-part cross of stakes, with the splice facing down. Make sure the clamp fits tightly against the stakes. Take the bottom weaver and pass it over the next pair of stakes, while the top weaver goes under this pair of stakes. This way, the weavers wrap around the double stakes from both sides. Remember to pack tightly, or the weaving pattern will become loose. Maintain tension in your weavers. Continue this way until you complete the first row of weaving. Important note: you can weave on the table, pressing the work against the surface to keep it from moving, or work in your hands, whatever feels more comfortable for you. Let's mark the first stake with a pin. This will always show us the beginning of a new row. This is important. Close the first row. Now we begin the second row by immediately separating each pair of stakes and weaving around them individually. When closing the row, we change the sequence of weavers. First, lay the top weaver down behind the next stake. Then place the bottom weaver on top. This helps the pattern align better. Separate the pairs of stakes individually and weave around them. Repeat this action with the other stakes until the end of the second row. When weaving the first rows, it's important to maintain tension in your weavers. Otherwise, the weaving will be loose and fall apart. Notice how I constantly control the tension of the weavers. I press the weaving against the table. Here is the first stake, the end of the row. I want to show you what the weaving looks like if we don't close the row and continue weaving in a spiral. This pattern is what you get. Let's still close the second row, that is, change the sequence of the weavers. First lay the top weaver down behind the stake. Then place the bottom weaver on top. Check that there are 2 strokes on each stake. I suggest we continue weaving on the solid form, wooden egg. Make a sticky pad from masking tape and place it between the pointed part of the form and the weaving. The sticky masking tape will prevent the weaving from sliding easily. Try to press the applied weaving against the form so it takes on the egg shape. In the video, I had woven 3 rows when I applied the weaving to the form and realized the 3rd row didn't fit tightly against the form. Let's continue weaving the 3rd row using pairing. Weaving the first 2 or 3 rows will be very uncomfortable because you must simultaneously hold the weaving on the form and work with the weavers while maintaining the necessary tension. Otherwise, the weaving will fall apart and be uneven. Stay strong. We can do this. Find a comfortable weaving position. Try weaving when you're looking down at the work, with the stake ends pointing downward. In my video, the weaving and form align on their side, so you can see clearly. Press the stakes against the form, giving them the correct direction along the form's curve. Before weaving the 4th row, add 1 rod to each existing stake. Take 8 rods and cut their twisted ends at a sharp angle. You don't need to put glue on the cut ends of the new rods. They'll be well secured by the weaving itself. That's your choice. Insert 1 rod to the left side of each existing stake. We'll also use these new stakes for the border finish. Use the knitting needle to help separate the space for the new stakes. Watch how I do this and repeat. Now that we've added stakes, let's begin weaving the 4th row. Now the weavers wrap around pairs of stakes. Weave tightly against the form. Watch the weaving and adjust where needed. Continue weaving with pairing. The top weaver always goes under the pair of stakes and then comes up on top. So the weavers constantly alternate with each other. Pack the weavers tightly against the form. With the fifth row, the same way, remembering to close each row before the marked stake. Next, I suggest weaving 9 rows on your own, if your form is the same size as mine. If your form is larger or smaller, your number of rows will be different. You determine the size and length of your acorn yourself. With the same number of rows as I do, then see if it's enough for your acorn size or not. There might be too many or too few rows. Control the number of rows yourself. So let's weave independently. Remembering to close each row, splice the weavers when necessary, and keep the stakes straight and evenly spaced. We've now woven 14 rows using pairing. Remove the form from the weaving. If the form sits tightly in the weaving, gently squeeze the weaving on the sides. Check your work. It should look like this. One weaver emerges from under the stake marked with the pin, and the other emerges from under the previous stake. Now cut the weavers and hide their ends in the weaving. Cut the weavers so that 1/4 inch shows from under the stake. Hide the cut ends of the weavers behind the corresponding stakes. Watch how I do this and repeat. The weaver's ends are hidden behind the stakes and won't be visible from the front side. Cut one stake from each pair of stakes. Important. Cut only the right stake. I can see them clearly. They are all short. Be very careful not cut the left stake or damage it. We need it for the border finish. We'll work the border from left to right for right-handed people. If you accidentally cut the left stake, don't worry. Take a new rod, put a drop of glue on its end, and insert it to the left of the cut stake. We need it to cover the cut stubs when bent to the right. This is how your weaving should look. Long rods on the left and stubs of cut stakes on the right. Let's start the border finish from anywhere in the weaving. I use rod scraps to reserve space in the weaving. Take a rod scrap, bend it into a V shape and place it behind the first stake where I started the border. Bend these stakes to the right and pass it behind the second rod, bringing it forward. Then place the rod scraps behind the second stake, parallel to the already bent first stake. Then bend the second stake to the right and pass it behind the third stake, also placing a rod scrap there. Lay the second rod parallel to the scrap and bring it forward. Then take the leftmost rod that's brought forward and lay it behind the fourth stake and bend the third stake to the right toward it. Lay them parallel. This is important. Then bring both first and third stakes forward. Trim the rod that lies between the standing stake and is pressed against it, so that 1/4 inch remains behind the stake. This part will cover the cut stub from the old stake. Hold everything tightly, so the border doesn't fall apart. Take the leftmost rod that's in front and wrap it around the 4th standing stake from the front. Pass it behind the 5th standing stake and bring it forward. Then bend the leftmost standing stake to the right and pass it behind the 5th standing stake, bringing both forward. Trim the rod that lies next to the standing stake, so it covers the stop from the old cut stake. Continue this way with the remaining stakes. We have one last standing stake. Be careful, you need to repeat the pattern. Take the leftmost rod and pass it behind the first stake that's already part of the weaving. Put it in place of the rod scrap and bring it forward. Then bend the last standing stake behind it and also bring it forward. Be sure to adjust the border so the strokes lie tightly together and don't fall apart. Trim the stakes that covers the stop of the old stake. Then take the leftmost rod again and insert it in place of the rod scrap. It reserves the space for you. To prevent the rod from creasing, gently press it along its entire length. This will reduce bending. Insert it into the weaving parallel to the already laid rod and trim. Insert the remaining rod into the weaving, passing behind every other stake, behind the 3rd stake, under 2 strokes. I am using the knitting needle to show where the rod should pass. Trim. If everything is correct, the pattern will look the same everywhere. Check everything again and adjust while the weaving is still damp. If anything is sticking out or protruding, turn the weaving border side down and press down from the top to level the edge. We've finished the bottom part of the acorn. Watch for the weaving of the top part of the acorn in the next video, part 2. Thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.